ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, racers and race fans. How about that Summer Clash 250 at Scotia Speedworld last weekend? Well worth the price of admission, I'd say. The rain delay sucked. No time trials Friday night. No Superior Foundation's 100 Sportsman race on Saturday. Everything got shipped over to Sunday. The Sportsman race will be rescheduled. I think has been rescheduled. Don't have the date handy here, but all is not lost there. But man, what a Summer Clash 250 on Sunday, presented by Superior Foundations and Atlantic Tilt Load. Sunday, August 11th. What a clash it was. Great to see Austin MacDonald pick up his first win on the Maritime Pro Stock Tour. And, you know, from this day forward, it's called the Summer Clash for a reason, because it was a real summer clash between the 08 of Nicholas Naugle and the 83 of Corey Hall. This boiled over from Oysterbed Speedway a few weeks ago in PEI, where the two of them went at it there. All was not forgotten, because the two found each other numerous times during the Summer Clash 250, ultimately ending with a disqualification from the race for Nicholas Naugle. So we'll get to all that. But first, let's recap the action of the day for the Summer Clash 250 that was presented by Superior Foundations and Atlantic Tilt Load. So let's go through what the format was like, who did well in time trials, did anybody take the Scott Fraser pole challenge, how did the heat races go, and finally, let's get to the main event, the main boxing match between Corey Hall and Nicholas Naugle, which saw Austin MacDonald come out with the checkered flag. And we spoke to Austin MacDonald earlier this week from the race shop. He was kind enough to give us 15-20 minutes of his time to go through what that race was like for him and what that first win on the Maritime Pro Stock Tour means. I mean, what a great win for him. With all the connections there. I mean, first of all, it's not just your regular 150 lap feature. It's a big 250. It's a Maritime crown jewel. So now he's got two more to chase for the Maritime triple crown. And, he's very young, so the odds are on his side to become the third driver ever to do that. And we talked about so many great connections with Austin in winning his first race on the Maritime Pro Stock Tour. Of course, racing for his grandfather, Rolly MacDonald's team, a legend in maritime racing himself, for whom Scott Fraser once drove. So you had the Scott Fraser connection there, being the Scott Fraser Memorial Cup, the trophy that Austin won, and it was presented to him by Frank Fraser. So many neat little connections there to unpack, and we'll get to all that during our conversation with Austin. But first, let's get to our full recap of the race that was the Summer Clash 250 at Scotia Speedworld. The first thing I want to highlight about the Summer Clash 250 presented by Superior Foundations and Atlantic Tilt Load is that it was consecutive night number 900 for Gary Elliott and the number 36 team from Truro, Nova Scotia, a streak that started in June of 1987, went through 3 divisions of racing, and culminated finally at the Summer Clash 250. So, and a nice acknowledgement from the Maritime Pro Stock Tour during driver introductions. Gary got the car right in front of the class photo. Everybody was wearing Quaker State hats. It was great. It was well-deserved, and I wanted to start by highlighting that for sure. Now, as far as the action of the day was concerned, I've already mentioned it was under rain delay. There was no action on Friday or Saturday for the Maritime Pro Stock Tour. Rather, everything condensed into Sunday, and it was a beauty of a day. After practice, the action got underway with the Maritime Pro Stock Tour Top Construction Time Trials. Now, the time trials, basically every driver got a chance to go around the circuit twice. The fastest lap would be clocked. The top 2 fastest times would be locked for the front row of the Summer Clash 250 feature, with an option starting with the pole winner to decide if he wanted to take the Scott Fraser pole challenge or not. So in honor of Scott Fraser, a driver had the chance to opt to start from the back of the field and earn more bonus money if that driver was able to secure a good finish. The better the finish, the more the bonus money on the line was to be had. So we know what happened. Time trial, I mean, how close was that field, right? Time trial results, how tight was it? The first 12 cars were within 0.2. That's 12 cars within 0.2 of a second. You had the 99 of Craig Slaunwhite, who prevailed with a 14.137, and the 12th car was the 40 of Robbie McEwen with a 14.330. So your top two cars in time trials were the 99 of Craig Slaunwhite and the 29 of Greg Proude. Now, that was your provisional lockout, assuming neither one of them would accept the Scott Fraser pole challenge. So I talked to Craig Slaunwhite after time trials, knowing he had won, and asked him, are you going to take the Scott Fraser pole challenge? Here was his answer. Now, I got to tell you, it was a windy day at Scotia Speedworld, so you might want to turn that one down a notch. So here we are now, Maritime Pro Stock Tour. We are here for the Summer Clash 250. It's a bit loud now. We've got some Legends cars making their way out on track. I'm here with Craig Slaunwhite. Craig, you did it again, top of the board in the time trials. How's the car feel today?
We struggled a little bit in practice. We had some front caliper issues, and I think we worked through them. So the time trial lap that was the test on if it was fixed or not, and threw down a couple decent laps. So yeah.
You sure did. Now the question everybody wants to know, are you going to take the Scott Fraser pole challenge?
I'm gonna have to think on it a little bit here until the time comes. Normally I would, yes. But I just had a couple people remind me that it was $75 to lead a lap too, so I've taken this challenge many times and have not got back to win the race yet, so I don't know. Hard question.
Well, whatever you decide to do, good luck today, Craig, and thanks for this.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks, Craig. No problem. So you could tell there, Craig really not sure what he was going to do. Was he going to take the Scott Fraser pole challenge or not? We really didn't know, neither did he at that point. Well, what we know now is that the Scott Fraser pole challenge would actually go down to quite a few drivers. Craig Slaunwhite said no. Next up was Greg Proude in the 29. He said no. Corey Hall in the 83 said no. The 67 of Dylan Blenkhorn said no. Then it went down to the 08 of Nicholas Naugle, who also turned it down. And finally, it was the 89 of Danny Chisholm who accepted the Scott Fraser pole challenge. And you could tell not a lot of thought went into that. Tim Terry had a microphone stuck in his face, and he kind of looked around the crowd and went, yeah, sure, I'll do it. So Danny Chisholm would accept the Scott Fraser pole challenge. Unfortunately for him, as we'll discover, mechanical issues forced an early retirement, but good on him for accepting the challenge. We then moved on to heat racing to qualify the rest of the field. Of course, Craig Slaunwhite and Greg Proude did not have to take part in the heat races, as they were the fastest and second fastest time trial cars, so they were safe. The rest of the field had to qualify through heat racing. So let's go over those provisional results one more time from the time trials. Craig Slaunwhite fastest with a 14.137, Greg Proude second fastest with a 14.166, and Corey Hall was third fastest with a 14.177. In fourth place, you had Dylan Blenkhorn, followed by Nicholas Naugle, Danny Chisholm, Austin MacDonald, Gage Gilby, Russell Smith Jr., Mike Rogers in 10th. Ashton Tucker was just outside the top 10 in 11th place. Robbie McEwen, a decent time, coming in 12th place in time trials. Then you had Jarrett Butcher, Ryan Van Orscott, Jordan Vino, Stevie Lively, Chris Reed, Chris Hughes, Brad Eddy, Tyler Hawes, Sam Rogers, Mark Leclerc, and Gary Elliott. Then we moved on to heat races, and unfortunately for Jordan Vino, he would not. Mechanical issues, blown motor would force him to be sidelined for the rest of the day, but hats off to him. Jordan Vino, true professional, still took part in the rest of the activities, took part in the fan fan challenge and was there for all of the pre-race activities, and just kudos to him for participating in the rest of the day without being able to race due to motor issues. So we then moved on to heat racing. Your first heat race was won by Corey Hall. Second place was Danny Chisholm, who had the fastest lap in that heat race but did not win. Not much movement. I think everybody was playing it safe. Not much passing, if any at all. Third was Russell Smith Jr., followed by Robbie McEwen, Chris Hughes, and Sam Rogers. Your second heat race saw Dylan Blenkhorn start from the lead and keep the lead. He'd be followed by Austin MacDonald, Mike Rogers, who had the fastest lap in that heat race but finished third. Behind him were Jarrett Butcher, Stevie Lively, Mark Leclerc, and Brad Eddy. And last but not least, our third heat winner of the day was Nicholas Naugle with the fastest time of his heat race, followed by Ashton Tucker, Gage Gilby, Chris Reed, Tyler Hawes, Ryan Van Orscott, and Gary Elliott. Now, after the time trials were done, after the heat racing was done, of course, I went down to the pits and talked to some of the boys and see if I could get some impressions on what they thought of their cars and what kind of day they anticipated. And why don't we start with Austin MacDonald pre-race, because it's always interesting to sort of hear the eventual winner's comments and what he thought of his car before the race even started. So here's what the 13 Austin MacDonald had to say before the start of the feature. And we just finished time trials here, P7 in the time trials for the 13 of Austin MacDonald. How's the car today, Austin?
It's pretty good. We fought it a little bit in practice. I feel like we've kind of made a step forward in qualifying, and I'm definitely really happy with how it felt in qualifying. We changed the axle there, and we're going to go back out here and see if it works good in the heat race.
And how do you think this track is going to evolve today over 250 laps? It's hot, the sun's beating on the track all day. How do you expect it to evolve?
I think it's probably just going to get greasy. I mean, I don't know if it's going to free up any or just, I think it's probably going to get slick and if anything turn tight on guys probably. We're starting the race a little bit free, I think, here, and going to hope that it just progresses the right way. The nice thing with all these calm cautions and brakes, and we got to stop for tires anyway, so you can make quick adjustments and hopefully get your car back in line. We've had pretty good luck with that this year, so hopefully it stays on that path.
No halfway brake, unlike the IWK 250. So how does that change things from a strategy point of view?
I think it's definitely cool. As much as I like the halfway brake, just kind of chill out at the IWK, it definitely plays a little bit more of a strategy game in it for not so much tire wear, I find, but track position is going to be big, getting in and out at the right time and when to do it. We haven't made full plans yet. It just kind of depends on how we're going to be running out there, where we start at, and where we're at come close to halfway.
All right, sounds good. Best of luck in your heat race, Austin, and best of luck in the feature.
Thank you.
Thanks. Now, the next one I caught in pit lane was the 89 of Danny Chisholm, and it was kind of neat to speak to him too, because little did we know at the time he would go on to win the Legends feature that day. And an interesting coincidence to have Austin MacDonald win his first Pro Stock Tour race that day, because that's our second. I know he's not technically a rookie on the Maritime Pro Stock Tour because he also races Cars Tour. He also races Pass. But it was neat to talk to Danny, knowing that at the end of the day, we would end up with two young guns as first-time winners on the tour. Danny Chisholm, of course, won the RJ Poirier 150 at Riverside. And at the end of the day, Austin MacDonald would win the Summer Clash 250. So let's see what Danny Chisholm had to say about his Pro Stock ride before he went on to win his Legends feature that day. And we're back doing our little grid walk here after time trials. I'm here with the 89 of Danny Chisholm. Danny, how's it going today?
Pretty good. We have a pretty good car. I think we qualified 6th, so that puts us in a heat race, which is not what I was wanting to do, but we'll go out and run the heat race and see what we can do for a long-run car. That's kind of the goal now, is get something we can race with for the rest of the feature, so that's where we got to move forward to.
Well, and you've had a lot of seat time recently, NASCAR Canada. You're back in a Pro Stock today. You got it the way you wanted for 250 laps?
Yeah, I think we'll be all right. I'm excited to see where we end up there with the last 50 or so, I think, is when we'll show our stuff. So whenever that comes, if I'm near the front, then I'll be happy.
Well, you won earlier this year on the Maritime Pro Stock Tour. Does that give you a little confidence boost going into a 250 like this?
Yeah, I think it just makes me realize that, I'm not totally out to lunch. I know a little bit what's going on, and I got to just stick to what I did last time and try to replicate that.
All right, best of luck today to the 89 Danny Chisholm.
Thank you.
Whew, the wind was howling there. Next guy to talk to, why not his teammate, Russell Smith Jr.? I mean, not the season they were expecting. They put in the work. They know the tracks. Nova Racing, obviously, a team that's capable of putting together very competitive cars. It just has not come together this season for Russell Smith Jr. Here's a reflection of his thoughts before the Summer Clash 250, hoping for a turnaround and end to this really season that is below expectations for the Nova Racing team. And we've got the 88 of Russell Smith Jr. here. Rusty, how's the car today?
It's been an up and down day, just like this whole year has been up and down roller coaster, which I really out of the box wouldn't have thought that, but I don't know. Our luck is on the downside. Hopefully someday it turns. I'm hoping maybe today.
Well, today it's a long race, 250 laps, no halfway break though. So how do you play this strategy-wise?
I can't let all the secrets out, but we're gonna play it the same way we did 2 years ago, and hopefully it works out that way. I think we ended up finishing third, and we had a chance to win with a late race restart, and I don't know. See, we just got to get through at least 200 laps before we can actually start racing.
All right, best of luck today, 88 Nova Racing Team, Russell Smith Jr. Thank you.
Thank you.
What you just hate it for these guys. I mean, they put in the work, they know what they're doing. It just bad luck, just performance not being there when it needed to be. Tough season for the 88 team from Nova Racing and Russell Smith Jr. Unfortunately, it would not end up being the day that Russie and the team hoped for, as they had to park the car after 71 laps with mechanical issues. So a 17th place finish in the Summer Clash 250 for Russell Smith Jr. The bad luck continues. There's still 3 more opportunities to turn it around. First one coming at you September 7th at Riverside. So, the team's home track, Russie's home track, we'll hope that it turns around for them on September 7th. Now, speaking of Riverside, we have a young gun that pretty much lost the car at Riverside the last time we were there. The Zero team of Sam Rogers, their first season on the Maritime Pro Stock Tour. Just too much damage for that car to make it to the race at Oysterbed Speedway a couple weeks ago. They were back for the Summer Clash 250 at Scotia Speedworld, and I caught up to Sam Rogers. Here's what he had to say after driver intros before the action got underway. And here we are now, pre-race ceremonies with the Zero, Sam Rogers. Sam, as I just said to you, great to see you back at the track after what I'm sure was a very busy couple of weeks putting this thing back together.
Yeah, no, it's good to be back. It was pretty busy. We're able to get it all together though and make the 250. It's a big race, and hopefully we get some good luck and finish all 250 laps.
Well, like you said, it's a big race. It's a long night, 250 laps. I mean, stay out of trouble. Who knows what can happen, right?
No, that's right.
And how does the car feel today? You happy with it? Did you have to make a lot of changes after your heat race?
We've been struggling a bit. Just had a couple issues, got a brake issue going on, but hopefully we got that sorted out and we'll have a stable piece underneath of us.
All right, best of luck for the 250 today. Sam, thanks for doing this.
Thank you.
Now, what brake issue going on is about the last thing you want to hear a driver say before they strap in for a 250 lap race, but credit to the Zero team, Sam Rogers, small team, not a lot of sponsors on that car, but they're one of the teams that managed to make it 250 laps. In fact, Sam finished 11th, and he was the last car on the lead lap. 22 car field, half of them not completing all the laps for one reason or another. Mark Leclerc finished 12th, only missing 1 lap. Gary Elliott was 9 laps down, and after that you go down to Tyler Hawes in 14th place. These guys were parked for a while, so good job to the Zero team of Sam Rogers. Their sponsor for that race was the Summer Clash 250, so great to see them turn all 250 laps, because Sam, was really looking forward to getting the seat time. It's his first season on the Maritime Pro Stock Tour, his first season in a Pro Stock, so really glad that that team was able to get it together and turn all 250 laps. So that was a win for them, I'm sure. Now, of course, and I save these, well, not for last, because we'll save Jarrett Butcher for last, but of course, Before the race started, I spoke to the 08 of Nicholas Naugle and the 83 Corey Hall to see what they thought of their rides before the 250 lap feature got underway. Of course, they were all calm, cool, and collected back then, but of course, we know that is not how it ended, so nice to hear their comments pre-race and how cool, calm, and collected they were. Here's my conversation with the 83 Corey Hall. Okay, so just finished time trials, Corey. The fastest two got locked into the front of the grid. You missed it by 1/100th of a second, I think.
Yeah, I just overdrove one a little bit, but obviously Craig and Greg are quite good here and got a lot of laps, so I just need to keep getting some laps around here. I don't race here enough and haven't been here since this race last year, and then it was 2 years ago before that. So just trying to get laps and trying to learn this place a little bit. I think the car is going to be really good in the race. I just got to learn how to drive it a little bit.
You got it the way you wanted for 250 laps?
I hope so. We're going to try this in the heat race. Made a little adjustment, so I think it's going to be good. We'll see where we shake out.
All right, thanks, Corey.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And here's what Nicholas Naugle had to say after the driver introductions just before strapping in for 250. And just found the 08 Nicholas Naugle making his way after driver intros. Nick, you brought the color car back this year. Thursday night, kids got a chance to sort of leave their mark on the car, color it in. How does it feel to drive, though? It looks pretty, but how does it feel to drive?
It's pretty good today. I'm pretty happy with the car. I'm hoping to survive this race and make it through 250 laps and see where we shake out. I think we have a good piece for tonight, so I'm looking forward to it.
There's no halfway break unlike the IWK 250, so how does that change things from a strategy point of view?
I think it's good. This is more what I'm used to. I like having to make some strategy calls, decide when we're going to take tires, fuel, what we're going to do, and I think it'll definitely shake things up for a lot of guys, but I'm not concerned about it.
Confident in the car for long runability tonight? How's it feel?
Yeah, no, the car's definitely under me tonight, and I can't thank my guys enough for giving me a car that I'm hoping will be able to bring us on to the victory lane.
All right, best of luck to you, 8 Bricom constructor Nicholas Naugle. Thanks, Nick.
Thank you.
Now, another driver I had the chance to catch up with on the starting grid was the 29 Screaming Demon of Greg Proude from Prince Edward Island. I had seen the posts on social media in the days before the event, the social media posts after Oyster Bed saying that this was likely to be his last race there, as he was getting ready to step into retirement. Supposedly had some equipment for sale, so I thought I'd ask, Greg, is this the last time that we'll see you at Scotia Speedworld? Here's what he had to say. Just found the 29 of Greg Proude. Greg, we have a word for the podcast? Maritime Pro Stock Tour Hot Pass podcast here, Greg Proude. How's the car feel today, first of all, for this 250?
No, it's pretty good. Worked on it in practice, and I'm looking forward to it.
Well, it's 250 laps. There's no halfway break. So how does this play into strategy-wise?
I leave that up to Andrew Hicken, but yeah, it definitely makes a difference. People are going to be doing different strategies and stuff, and I just hope we pick the right one. Now,
is this your last time at Scotia Speedworld, Greg?
Never say never, but probably yes.
All right, well, listen, it's been an honor to see you on the track all those years. We'll wish you the best of luck tonight.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Well, and you'll remember that I had mentioned this in my last episode in the Summer Clash 250 preview show. I mentioned, that there was wind of this, that we needed to really look back on Greg's 19-year career on the Maritime Pro Stock Tour and Pro Stock racing across the Maritimes in general, all of his accomplishments, IWK 250 winner, on and on and on and on. And there you have it. I think that was confirmation from the horse's mouth. So was glad to have this conversation, albeit very quick, with Greg before the start of the race, and just put my own mind at ease as to what the plan was for him. And there you have it. Now we know. Now let's move on to what would be a bunch of pre-race interviews at the Summer Clash 250 without Mr. Summer Clash 250 himself, Jarrett Butcher, and the Atlantic Tilt Load Superior Foundations machine. So here's what the 54 had to say before strapping in for 250 laps. And it wouldn't be the Superior Foundation's Atlantic Tilt Load Summer Clash 250 without a 54 in the field. And we're gonna see if we can grab Jarrett Butcher here. Oh, Jarrett, what do you got for these boys today? Summer Clash 250. How's the car?
We've been fighting all day with it. We've struggled. I really honestly don't know where we're going to end up. Everyone keeps asking me where we're going to be, and I said we're either going to go backwards, stay where we're at, or we're going to go forward. Crew's worked hard all day. It'd be nice to get nice to win at this, this race. My main sponsors sponsoring it, Mom and Dad. But it's a long race. Nutrition's going to be part of it, so hopefully we can climb our way to the front. Hopefully, I honestly have no idea, and maybe be a part of it at the end.
Well, and it's 250 laps, but unlike the IWK 250, there's no halfway break here. So how does that play for you guys in terms of strategy?
It actually plays a big part. I mean, you can pit late, hopefully your tires, hopefully other people wear their stuff out, and you take advantage on your tire situation, or, maybe pit a little bit early and let everybody else do all the work. When they pit, you go right to the front. It's kind of a play by ear kind of deal. You kind of set yourself up to, this is where you want to go. But I mean, if anyone pitting in front of you, if you're trying to follow them, they could play in factor for you. They could decide for you.
Best of luck today, Jarrett. We'll look forward to it.
Thank you.
You just heard Jarrett mention that it was probably going to be a race of attrition, and boy, was he right. I mean, of the 22 cars we had start the race, we had only 11 of them turn all 250 laps. Big names too. You look at guys like Craig Slaunwhite quitting on lap 50 due to mechanical issues. You've got Greg Proude out on lap 173. You've got Russell Smith Jr. out on lap 71. You've got Danny Chisholm, who took our Scott Fraser pole challenge, out on lap 16. Chris Hughes, Stevie Lively, on and on and on. Tyler Haas. Quite a few guys had to park it before the end of 250 laps. So you've got your pre-race set up. You know what all of these guys had to say before strapping in for 250. Now let's get to it. Here's your full recap of the Summer Clash 250. So, when it was all said and done, it was time to go racing, and your starting grid looked like this. The front row was our time trial winner, Craig Slaunwhite, starting on the inside with our second fastest and locked into the front row, 29 of Greg Proude. Row 2 was the 83 of Corey Hall, next to the 67 of Dylan Blenkhorn. Row 3 was the 08 of Nicholas Naugle, next to the 13 of Austin MacDonald. Row 4 was the 2 of Ashton Tucker, next to the 88 of Russell Smith Jr. Row 5 was the 41 of Mike Rogers, next to the 25G of Gage Gilby. Row 6 was the 40 of Robbie McEwen, next to the 54 of Jarrett Butcher, followed by the 31 of Chris Reed and the 30 of Stephen Lively, followed by the 33 of Tyler Haas and the 0 of Sam Rogers. Behind them were the 51 of Mark Leclerc and the 25 of Ryan Van Orescott, followed by the 32 of Chris Hughes and the 89 of Danny Chisholm. Following him, you had the 7 of Brad Eddy and the 36 of Gary Elliott. Now, when the green flag dropped, it was obvious that the 83 car and Corey Hall had a lot of speed, passed Greg Proude for second place right away. On lap 2, caution comes out as the 89 of Danny Chisholm, our Scott Fraser pole challenge nominee, gets in the back of the 25 of Ryan Van Orescott and spins him out. Lap 17, issues for the 89 of Danny Chisholm, heads to the pits, and that would be it. He would park the thing. So by lap 20, your top 5 were the 99 of Craig Slaunwhite, followed by the 29 of Greg Proude, the 08 of Nicholas Naugle, and the 83 of Corey Hall. Already found each other. And then you have the 2 of Ashton Tucker behind these two. Now, of course, you knew right away that the potential for fireworks was there because the 08 started on row 3 right behind the 83 of Corey Hall, so it didn't take much for those two to find each other. Lap 25, you had the 29 started looking inside the 99 as he was hoping to negotiate lap traffic. And by lap 40, you've got the 32 of Chris Hughes. Another one bites the dust. His day was done as well. Competition caution on lap 50. So the first 50 laps were clean because we got a competition caution at lap 50. And calamity strikes for the 99 of Craig Slaunwhite. Under caution, the car just quits, and he stalls in the high groove on the back straight approaching turn 3. That would be the end of his day. So on that restart, you have the 29 of Greg Proude on the front row on the inside with Corey Hall to his outside. Row 2, you have the 08 of Nick Naugle and the 88 of Russell Smith Jr. Behind them, you have the 2 of Ashton Tucker and the 67 of Dylan Blenkhorn, followed by the 13 of Austin MacDonald and the 41 of Mike Rogers. Lap 71, the 83 of Corey Hall takes the lead from Greg Proude. Now, caution, the 33 of Tyler Hawes spins the car. The 88 stalls under caution. And that would be it for them. That's it for the 88 Russell Smith Jr. and the Nova Racing Team. Calamity continues for that 88 team. I tell you, just no luck at all this season. So on that restart, you have the 29 and the 83 still up front. The 08 of Nicholas Naugle is behind the 29, and next to Nick is the 2 of Ashton Tucker. Row 3 is the 41 of Mike Rogers and 67 of Dylan Blenkhorn. Row 4 is the 13 of Austin MacDonald and the 25 of Ryan Van Orscott. Lap 90, Corey Hall takes the lead again. Now, the 36 of Gary Elliott spins on the backstretch and caution comes out. Lap 91, the 33 spins and caution comes out. Now, that would be, let's see now. Oh, well, at that point, guess what? Another one bites the dust. The 30 of Stevie Lively parks it. Based on radio chatter, it sounded like the car was overheating and they didn't want to take a chance, so they decided to park it. Lap 100, you've got Jarrett Butcher losing pace momentarily. I don't know if he got loose a little too much and dropped a couple positions, but that was noticeable. And by that point, your top cars are the 83 of Corey Hall, the 29 of Greg Proude, followed by the 41 of Mike Rogers, the 08 of Nicholas Naugle, the 2 of Ashton Tucker, the 67 of Dylan Blenkhorn, and the 31 of Chris Reed. Now, lap 112, you had a good battle midfield. The 25 of Ryan Van Orscott and the 25G of Gage Gilby are going at it, and it was an interesting and hard-fought battle for position. Nice to see that. You know, it's nice to keep your eyes down the front of the field all the time, but, you know, sometimes it's nice to dart around and look at what else is going on, and I right away noticed those two going at it for a couple laps, so that was nice to see. Now, by lap 116, you've got the 2 of Ashton Tucker making a little bit of a charge, passing the 41 of Mike Rogers for third. Lap 123, Corey Hall is starting to break away from the field. And that's all interrupted by lap 130 competition caution. So the field bunches up again. Corey Hall loses the, I would say, 4 to 5 car length lead that he had built. Everybody bunches up. You've got the 83 and the 29 on the front row and the 2 and the 08 on the second row. Lap 140, fierce battle for second position between the 83 of Corey Hall and the 08 of Nicholas Naugle. That's where it starts to get interesting on lap 140. Lap 143, the 83 of Corey Hall takes the lead. Nicholas Naugle is third. In between Corey Hall and Nicholas Naugle, you've got the 29 of Greg Proude, keeping those two at bay from each other. Lap 148, guess what? The 08 of Nicholas Naugle takes P2 from Greg Proude. So now the 08 is right behind the 83 of Corey Hall, but Corey Hall has a bit more pace and he's starting to break away from Nicholas Naugle at that point. So lap 160, you've got the 83 and the 08 in the first two positions, followed by the 29 of Greg Proude and the 2 of Ashton Tucker, 67 Dylan Blenkhorn, 31 Chris Reed, 41 Mike Rogers. But at this point, the battle's underway between Nicholas Naugle and Corey Hall. It's obvious. Competition caution at lap 170, bunch up the field. Now, some different cars would come out on top of that after some pit stops. The 41 of Mike Rogers and the 54 of Jarrett Butcher on the front row, followed by the 25G of Gage Gilby and the 83 of Corey Hall. Row 3 is the 08 of Nicholas Naugle and the 29 of Greg Proude. Row 4 is the 2 of Ashton Tucker and the 67 of Dylan Blenkhorn. Row 5 is the 31 of Chris Reed and the 25 of Ryan Van Orscott. Lap 174, caution. There's an incident in turn 4. We rack up the field and get going again. Now, at this point, if you fast forward to lap 182, you've got Mike Rogers still in the lead, but Behind him, now you have the 83 of Corey Hall and the 08 of Nicholas Naugle, jumping the 54 of Jarrett Butcher, who's now in 4th place, the 13 of Austin MacDonald in 5th place. Lap 189, you've got Corey Hall taking the lead, and you've got Nicholas Naugle taking 2nd place. Lap 200, you've got Nicholas Naugle closing in on Corey Hall, slowly but surely. Might be some fireworks here, and yeah, there would be. Then we have the competition caution at lap 210. There's 15 cars left in the field now, and the 83 and the 08 are on the front row. Right away on lap 212, we have a caution because the 25G of Gage Gilby and the 31 of Chris Reed get involved in a racing deal in turn 1, which gives us another restart. Away we go, and by the time we get to turn 4, the 08 of Nicholas Naugle clearly moves the 83 of Corey Hall up a groove, but the 83 fights it off and keeps control of the car, and they keep going. Now, very quickly after that, lap 213, Sam Rogers spins out on the back straight, brings us another caution. So what that means is you've got another restart between the 08 and the 83 again on the front row. Lap 216, the 33 of Tyler Hawes spins out again. For the 3rd time, he's bringing out a caution, so he gets parked. Lap 230, you've got the 41 spinning in turn 4, another caution, another restart. And now the battle for the lead is on between the 08 and the 83. Lap 233, Nicholas Naugle and Corey Hall tangle on the backstretch. And, that one's big. Nicholas Naugle spins out. The 83 and the 08 get sent to the back for that caution, which puts, guess who? Austin MacDonald in the lead. Well, we get a restart after that. Now, the 08 and the 83 are in the back of the field. And, well, let's take a look here. So, the very last row is the 51 of Mark Leclerc and the 36 of Gary Elliott. The second to last row on that restart is the 2 of Ashton Tucker next to the 08 of Nicholas Naugle. The row in front of them is the 41 of Mike Rogers and the 83 of Corey Hall. So Nicholas Naugle is directly behind Corey Hall. Well, yeah, they wrecked hard on that restart as the 08 of Nicholas Naugle sends the 83 off into turn 1, and it's the 08 that would end up paying the ultimate price as, well, first of all, his car got stuck in the tire wall, and second of all, he got disqualified from the race. Now this, these moves between the 08 of Nicholas Naugle and the 83 of Corey Hall, that's not new. That's a continuation from, not only the race at Oysterbed Speedway 2 weeks prior, but I think it goes even beyond that. The 08 ends up being disqualified from the race, which looks like it'll really hinder his championship chances now. Naugle falls from 4th to 9th in points. He is now 236 points behind the leader. As you know, a win on the tour is 200 points, so the 08 has a long way to go, because if he wins again, he would still need the leaders to do very badly in order to leapfrog them, so to have any hope at the points championship. Now, young Austin MacDonald obviously is the benefactor of this, and I use the word benefactor kind of loosely here because he did end up kind of tagging the wall as a result of that first incident on lap 212. But he would survive, and he really had nowhere to go and just kind of got wadded up with them. He didn't get sent to the back because he had nothing to do with causing that caution. He just ended up in the wall trying to avoid these two. So young Austin MacDonald, the benefactor of the rivalry, as he was sitting 3rd behind the 08 and the 83 when those two took each other out of contention. So, and really an action-packed race. And the Summer Clash is now aptly named, I'll tell you that, because we have a rivalry on our hands. And, motorsport needs those rivalries for better or for worse, for right or for wrong. It's great to see two guys going at it. We all hope for clean racing, and we hope that is what will take place from this point forward. But what a race. What a race it was between those two guys and between the whole field, really. As I mentioned, some great midfield battles as well. And Austin MacDonald, hung on to it. It's not like it wasn't a walk in the park for him. Far from it. Dylan Blenkhorn, give him 2 or 3 more laps. He could have got him. And Jarrett Butcher also, obviously, a solid second place for him. And really, a race of attrition, right? With only 11 of 22 starters, or half the field completing all 250 laps. What a race. What a race it was. The Summer Clash 250, the Summer Clash of Corey Hall and Nicholas Naugle, round 2. Call it what you want. It was a great race. So your full race results: first place, Austin MacDonald; second place, Jarrett Butcher; third place, Dylan Blenkhorn; fourth, Robbie McEwen. Listen, solid finish for the 40 team from Charlottetown, PEI. He just won at Oyster Bed on the tour a couple weeks prior. Now he collects a 4th place finish. And he's about to go fight for a championship in the Super Late Model Series this weekend. So way to go, Robbie McEwen. The team's been doing well lately. 5th place was the 25G of Gage Gilby. 6th was Ashton Tucker. 7th, Mike Rogers. 8th, Corey Hall. 9th, Chris Reed. 10, Ryan Van Arscott. And the rest after your top 10 were Sam Rogers, Mark Leclerc, Gary Elliott, Tyler Hawes, Greg Proude, Stevie Lively, Russell Smith Jr., Craig Slaunwhite, Chris Hughes, Danny Chisholm, Brad Eddy, Jordan Vino, and Nicholas Naugle. And by the way, Sam Rogers in 11th place, as I said, was your last car on the lead lap. Now let's go talk to our top 3, fresh out of the car after the checkered flag: Austin MacDonald, Jarrett Butcher, and Dylan Blenkhorn. And we're going to make our way to Austin MacDonald.
FaceTime, Austin. Congratulations. I'll come back in a moment.
And we just made our way to Maritime Pro Stock Tour winner, Austin MacDonald. Drove a heck of a race today. The car is not without its marks. It got a little rough at times. Austin, congratulations on your first win on the Maritime Pro Stock Tour.
Thank you. It means the world. We worked so hard for this, and especially to get a big one like this. I looked at the trophy last week, and I was like, damn, that would look good in the shop.
It's a nice trophy.
And so I'm really glad we're going to be able to take that one home.
Absolutely. What a race today, Austin. I heard you guys on the radio just encouraging you to bide your time, be smart, run a smart race, and you executed today. Well-deserved win.
Thank you.
Now, winner not just on the Maritime Pro Stock Tour, but a 250, the Summer Clash 250. What's going through your mind right now?
I'm just super pumped. I feel like I'm honestly going to throw up right now. I've been searching for water. I broke my water bottle thing off in there, and I was searching for water, and I tried to get some at the halfway, and we didn't have any, and what I would do for water right now is the biggest thing, but we're going to celebrate her tonight.
All right, we'll let you have a drink. Congratulations, Austin.
Thank you.
And second step on the podium was Jarrett Butcher. Here's what he had to say post-race. We're going to make our way to our second place finisher, Jarrett Butcher. Jarrett, second place today. Another 5 laps, maybe you would have got him. What do you think?
I think I need another restart. We were okay on the outside for a couple laps, but after that, we were no good. I was overdriving it when I did get clear of him on the bottom. I was overdriving it. I think that's what kind of screwed me. So, lessons learned. We shouldn't have been where we were. We're better than this. We have a better car than what we should have. But, we'll work harder, come back for the 200, and hopefully win that, and, go see if we can go in and cut more 250s this year.
Well, listen, good showing today. Second place, obviously, Atlantic Tilt Load, Superior Foundations. Congrats on a good race today. Second place, not the one you wanted, but a great race nonetheless.
Yeah, no, it's not the one I wanted, but you know what? It's second place again, and, eventually we'll break through and get that crown jewel.
All right, congrats, Jarrett.
Thank you.
And last but not least, comments from the 67 of Dylan Blenkhorn, who finished third this year and first last year. As you'll hear him say, it's not easy to win those races when you're not competing on a full-time basis, but what an effort for him to, come in third place in only his second race on the tour this year. And here we are now, Maritime Pro Stock Tour Summer Clash 250 comes to an end. Dylan Blenkhorn, third place. How was it today?
I'm just proud of all the guys. It's tough to tough to come back and do this deal twice a year and be competitive. I think pretty proud of third. I just messed up on a few restarts, probably just not in the seat enough, but just want to thank all the guys that make this deal possible.
Yeah, I think you just needed another 4 or 5 laps. Maybe you would have had something for those guys.
Yeah, we were definitely quicker than the two in front of us, but that bites, but we'll be back.
Great race, Dylan. Congratulations on a well-earned third place today.
Thank you.
Now, as much as I love collecting hot takes from drivers right when they get out of the car after a big win or a second place finish or a third place finish, it's nice to be able to talk to a winning driver a couple of days after the event. They've had time to process, to think about it, to sort of process what it means to them and to gather their thoughts on the race as a whole. Even maybe had some time to watch some replays of some sections of the race and gather their own thoughts about the highlights. So I'm really happy I got the chance to do that this week and sit down with Austin MacDonald for a few minutes and gather his thoughts about 48 hours removed from the race after he had time to let it sort of sink in and percolate. So here's my conversation with our Summer Clash 250 champion, Austin MacDonald. And today on the Maritime Pro Stock Tour Hot Pass podcast, we are joined by the latest 2024 Summer Clash 250 winner, Austin MacDonald. How does that sound, Austin?
It sounds great. I'm still super pumped about it. I mean, it's Tuesday now, a couple days after, but I definitely feel excited and still super happy with it.
Well, listen, and what a day it was. We know you've competed in the U.S. as well. We'll talk a little bit about that. But, to compete on a full-time basis in the Maritime Pro Stock Tour this year, you've come close a couple times. It's been less than 48 hours, but has it sunk in yet?
It started to, I would say Monday, really, to be honest with you. Probably when I came downstairs from my bedroom, I was pretty tired after the race. We actually didn't party much at all. By the time we got out of Tech, it was, I think, 11-ish. So we got home around 12:30, and I think I went straight to bed, actually, pretty much.
Okay.
And, so it was definitely a good feeling waking up next morning and getting a good look at the trophy and being able to kind of sit there and eat breakfast and just look at what we accomplished the day before.
Yeah, you've been close a couple times this year, always competitive. I mean, with this win, it knocks your average finish down to 5th on the tour this year. So, always in the mix, but so happy to see you get it done, and especially on a big stage like the Summer Clash 250 at Scotia Speedworld. I mean, beauty of a day. Stands were packed. Heart of a Champion hot rods were with us. Legends feature. I mean, just a great day overall, and to see it capped off with the 13 in victory lane was special. So let's go through that day a little bit. I mean, I talked to you after time trials. You qualified 7th. You told me that you were fighting the car a little bit in practice earlier on in the day, managed to put up the 7th fastest time in time trials. By the time all the wrenching was done and it was time to get in the car to go racing for 250, what were your final impressions on where this car was at for you?
Well, I still really wasn't super happy with how the car had felt going into the race, really. I knew we would qualify good, just I think a lot of it from my experience from running on the Cars Tour and down south so much, having to qualify every week. You got to put it all out there. And I think that's kind of why we qualified 7th. I mean, it was still a pretty good run, but we definitely had a little bit more in the tank. I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, I was probably only about a 4 or 5 happy with my car at that point. We had fought issues all day in practice. At Friday, during Friday practice, we were extremely, extremely happy with the car. We went 3rd on the board, even though everybody kind of got limited laps, but we were really happy with it. The feeling and everything, I thought it was really raceable. And then come Saturday, we felt like we had almost taken a step backwards. We were chasing the car with certain things and just couldn't really seem to get our issues. We fought free in most of the race, and you could see it even watching the race. Everybody could kind of gain on us getting into the corner, but we could get off the corner better. We found a couple issues here in the shop after debriefing the car with some trailing arms and stuff like that definitely were probably most of our struggle through the day, and maybe why we didn't have a perfect car, we felt like. But I kind of feel a lot like Jarrett did after the race, where he said he had about a P10 car probably. And I feel very well that we were probably a P5, P6 car at the end of that race, and we just were able to get up on the wheel a little bit and have a little bit of luck to get us there. In the midsection of the race, we had actually fallen all the way back to 11th, I believe, at one point, about 150 laps in before we pitted for tires. And that was, at that point, I was about ready to park the car. Actually, it was so bad. I was just getting frustrated with it. But we were able to work on it a little bit on the pit stop, not a lot with the time frame, but definitely happy with the changes we made, and the tires kind of brought the car back to life a little bit.
Well, struggling with the car for much of the race, almost considered parking it. Before the action got underway, of course, a special feature of the Summer Clash 250 is the Scott Fraser Pole Challenge. And so Craig Slaunwhite got the fastest time. Was he going to take it? Wasn't he going to take it? You know, nobody knew. He told me before the race he wasn't sure if he would or not. So Craig ends up saying no. Then Greg Proude ends up saying no. Then after that, it went down to like four others or five others before it finally went down to Danny Chisholm, who said yes. But if he had said no, it was going to come down to you next. Were you starting to think about, oh my God, I might have to decide if I want to take this or not?
I definitely was. I kind of started looking back at the pit guys just to see kind of what they thought about the whole deal. But nobody was really paying attention at that point. So I was kind of on my own up there. We had Jack Tanner was standing there, and he was kind of leaning me that way a little bit. So I think you probably would have saw us take it if it came down to it. I really do. I mean, we were starting P6 anyway in the race. It wasn't like we were starting in that top 3 or 4. And usually with my driving style, really, I'm more of a conserve guy in the early parts of the race anyway, so that would allow me to do that. It would have changed up our game plan a little bit for the race, but I'm definitely glad Danny took it. I mean, we were able to kind of be in a safe zone for a little while. Probably worked out better for me starting up front and just maintaining our gear through the race.
Now, we're going to fast forward a lot. We're going to go right to the meat of it. Competition caution, lap 210. Okay, by this point, Corey Hall and Nicholas Naugle are on the front row, and you're behind them alongside Mike Rogers. Now, lap 212, there's an incident on the backstretch with, I think, the 25G of Gage Gilby and the 31 of Chris Reed tangle. We get a caution. I think they spun in turn 1, actually. Then restart on lap 212. The 08 moves the 83 up a groove, and you can tell that these guys are starting to tangle. And at this point, you're right behind them in row 2. And then we get to lap 233 when finally the last straw, the 08 and the 83 tangle for the final time, get each other in the wall. You end up getting collected in that, but you survive. Being behind those two all race, knowing the history that they have, the fact that they had already sort of messed with each other in front of you a couple of laps before that, what was going through your mind sitting right behind them as we were getting down to, it was lap 233 when this happened, but what was going through your mind as the laps were ticking down and you were sitting really close right behind those two?
So it was definitely a factor, knowing the history between the two drivers and the two cars. It was kind of one of those deals where it was really like an eyes wide open situation, as you hear a lot of spotters say a lot of the time. It was just to pay as much attention as we could and maybe capitalize on not necessarily those two wrecking, but just those two fighting so hard and battling for the lead, where I got close enough one time to kind of get under Corey, and then he got back in line. But that's kind of what we were aiming for, is allow those two to battle it out. And the plan was to basically see if we could take the lead from those two. They were a little faster than us, I believe. They just had their stuff figured out a little bit better than we did. But we were able to really close up on them when they started beating on each other pretty hard and running each other hard. So it definitely worked out for me. I had a lot of pressure from Mike Rogers at that point as well, he was very strong. I went back and watched a video there of the last 30, 40 laps, and Mike was right on my bumper the whole time. So I was almost half worried about protecting the bottom and trying to pull away from Mike as much as I was trying to get to the leaders. But it was great to have Mike race me so clean, really there. But we definitely were able to capitalize on the deal at the end of the day. Like I said, it was great to be able to put ourselves in the right position, I should say, at the end of that race. We did the best that we could with the car we had, I felt, getting up to third anyway. And a lot of racing I find lately is about that, just putting yourself in the right spot within those last 30, 40 laps anyway. And then usually it'll pan out, at least for a podium finish, if not a win, if you continue every race to put yourselves in those good spots.
Now, when you got collected in that wreck between the 08 and the 83, you hit the wall too. I mean, the right side of your car, I was close to it at the end of the race, and it was pretty wrinkled, let's say. What was going through your mind as you hit the wall? Are you thinking, is it over? Did I break something? Can I keep going?
So a lot of that contact actually came from earlier in the race. Me and Jarrett Butcher had gotten together about, I want to say, lap 100 to 125 in that range. And that had tore a lot of the right side up. I felt like we made out of the Nick and Corey wreck pretty well. Actually, we did nose into the wall a little bit, but I was pretty much come to a stop at that point. I had already committed to running the top, going down the backstretch, and it was just too late for me to steer underneath of them to get away from the wreck. I felt like that would have probably caused more damage. I either would have got into Nick or Corey, or maybe somebody coming from behind at a fast rate of speed. So I felt like that was my best option at the time. We definitely just nosed in up there and stopped. I was a little worried that the tour was going to put me to the back, thinking I was involved fully with the caution. However, we were able to just get woed up in time where it worked out good in the tour, acknowledge that, and help me out there with that. So it was great to be able to get my position back on the lead. And I think that probably helped me out the most in the race, was just being able to maintain that position and not have to be penalized for something that we didn't cause or weren't a part of.
Well, the other two got put to the back, and on the very next restart, completely wrecked each other. So, good thing that you stayed up front. Listen, Austin, obviously coming from, let's call it racing royalty in the Maritimes. I mean, it's in your blood. Rolly MacDonald, maritime racing legend, your grandfather, your father's also involved with the team. There's a connection in the family with Scott Fraser and Frank Fraser as well. How special was it to be handed that Scott Fraser Memorial Cup by Frank Fraser?
It was honestly, I don't know if there's words for it, how special it meant to me and my family, my father, my grandfather, all of us, really. I mean, they've won the cup a couple times with the King Racing team before, but it definitely felt special being able to keep it in the family and do it this way. I mean, Frank is just a phenomenal guy, and so is all the Fraser family. And they treat us so well at the track, and it was really great to be able to be up there on the stage with him. I think that meant a whole lot to us, and it's really nice to have it here in the shop for the year. It means a lot, and I would say it's probably going to mean the most of any trophy we could get around here, really. Just all the history that our family has and the ties with Scott Fraser. It was really great, I feel like, to be able to make him proud the other night and come away with the win there. So between the Scott Fraser Memorial Trophy and being able to do it not only by myself, but with my family, with my grandfather up on the pit box and my father, both of them in my ear and crew chief, we've been working together really well lately and just kind of hashing things out with the car and trying to get, we all kind of have different attitudes and opinions about the car. So it's great to be able to have three opinions and kind of work together to figure out what the best option is. I mean, there's so much knowledge between my father and my grandfather. I'm still learning a little bit because I'm fairly new at this still. I mean, I feel like I've come a long way in the past couple of years from where I started, but it's definitely great to be able to do that. And I could see the smile on my grandfather's face from a little while away when he picked up the trophy. So that was just a great feeling too.
Absolutely, absolutely. And as you said, Austin, you're learning quite a bit. And, I scan through all the teams during the race and I listen to all of you guys talk to your crew and your crew talk to you. And, some drivers, all they can say is, I don't know, it just doesn't turn, do something. But you're always very precise with what you want, with what you think the car needs, how to fix whatever issue you think you're experiencing. You're starting to have a great feel for these race cars, and it shows just the way I listen to you talk to your crew during a race.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I was always taught when I was growing up, from Andrew, from my grandfather, kind of from everybody around the shop, that the more that you work on your car in the shop, the more you'll understand it. And as kind of a 13, 14-year-old teenager, I really didn't pay a lot of attention to that. But lately the last 2 to 3 years, I've been full time in the shop. And so it's great to be able to have the knowledge, and the background now. And I feel like it has made me a better driver, just because a lot of it is so specific now. There's any given time, there's 15 things that can make your car or somewhat fix a problem that you have, but you need to know which one is going to be the right fix. And that's where I feel like the biggest difference for me is before I could know that the car was tight on entry or free in the middle. But that was all the feedback I could give, where now we've changed so much stuff and played with the car so much and done a lot of testing by ourselves to gain that knowledge as well. That we just have a lot of notes and a lot of theories behind changing stuff now, which definitely helps, I feel like, especially in a long run of a race where it's not so big in practice, I don't think, where we have time to make a change and go back out and see if it works. Where, in the race, you're pretty much committed to what change you make, so you have to be specific with it.
That's right, especially, in a race like the Summer Clash 250 where there's no halfway break, it's live pit stops. You don't get a chance to fix it at halfway like you would at, say, the IWK 250. So yeah, very important to know what you want and to communicate that to your crew. And that brings me to my next point. The experience that you've gathered racing these late model cars. To new fans of the Maritime Pro Stock Tour, you may be a rookie, you may be a newcomer on the scene, but that's just simply not the case. You've been racing these late models south of the border now for a while. It's your first time committing to a full-time schedule on the Maritime Pro Stock Tour, but let's go back to some of the racing experience that you've gathered in the US. Talk me through that a little bit. When did you start racing late models, and especially down south? I know you've, not only have competed in Pass North and on the Cars Tour late model, Pro Late Model Series, even there's some wins there. Just give me a snapshot of what you've been up to south of the border and how success has gone there.
So I would say it all stems back to really my legend career, would be the biggest point of down south racing. I moved down there in 2018, 2019, and ran 2 full years of legend racing. We raced probably 45 races a year, close to it.
And how old are you at that time?
So we were, let me think, we were around 14, 15 at that point.
Okay.
We were racing the Young Lion series is what we were in at that point, and ran all over the country down there. Right from Maine right to Florida, over to Texas. Like, we were everywhere. And I think that's the biggest thing. And I kind of lean that towards the Pro Late Model series down there as well, the Cars Tour, is you get to race so many diverse tracks. And I feel like it definitely helps, especially here, like for Petty, for example, where I've never raced before, just showing up and having to run the track, where I think that's the biggest thing is when you get to run all these different racetracks, you gain so much experience and know how to pick up a racetrack and align fast. You definitely can't do it by yourself, I don't think. A little bit of help by cars on the racetrack makes a big difference, being able to follow some of those fast cars around initially. But that is one of the biggest things. And it's so diverse between the Cars Tour and the Pass Series, Maritime Pro Stock Tour. Each tour has their own separate identity, I would say. And a lot of it does tie together. So, for example, this weekend at the 250, there was a whole bunch of competition cautions. Now, that actually relates back to my Cars Tour racing, because even though it was only 100-lap features on the Cars Tour, every 40 to 45 laps, there was a comp caution. And so it kind of relates back to that, I feel like, where, I mean, in those 100 lap races, we would have a comp caution with 20 laps to go in the race. So, with 20 to 30 laps left, you had to get up on the wheel. There was no choice.
It's go time.
Right. And I think that might have helped me out the other night a little bit as well, that extra experience with the comp cautions, and especially the 6-tire race. I feel like in a 250 lap race definitely fitted my driving style as well. So with the Cars Tour, with the comp cautions, and even the past series, which run on a very soft tire compared to our tires here, you really have to conserve your tires. And I feel like I've learned from some of the best down there racing against guys like Bubba Pollard or a lot of those guys, right? Cole Butcher, even down south, when I raced against him a couple of times. These guys do it for a living and know exactly what you have to do and how well you have to save your tires and how important it is. And recently at home, it hasn't been that important. I mean, in the 150 lap tires, everybody pushes 150 lap races, everybody pushes very, very hard. Where this 250 lap race, I feel like you had to be on conserve mode a little bit. And so that definitely, the experience with tire conservation and longer races, I feel like also helped my experience.
Well, and I kind of compare you and Danny Chisholm. I kind of look at you guys and say, okay, young guys, but experienced. Austin's race down south, Pass, Cars Tour. Danny's picking up a bunch of races in NASCAR Canada, kind of making his own way as well. I talked to Danny after he won his first race on the tour this year. And by the way, it's cool to have the two of you guys pick up your first wins on the tour in the same year. Talked to Danny at Riverside after his win. And he said, going into the Summer Clash 250, I said, does that win sort of give you a little confidence boost going into this? And he said, it's just kind of confirmation that I'm not out to lunch, that I belong out here with these guys. And it went a long way for him in that sense. Does that kind of do the same thing for you, you think?
I think it definitely has a factor. I mean, the way I look at it is we have such a strong year this year. We've had a very fast car every race we've gone to. Luck hasn't been on our side, some of them, and it has recently kind of turned around for us. But I would say it more compares to a couple of years ago when I first ran. I ran a couple of races a year on the Pro Stock Tour. And it was kind of an eye-opener at that point when I was 15, 16 years old. I feel like I didn't have a lot of confidence. I didn't know much about the car I was driving, and I was still fairly new and a little bit insecure in the car, kind of let the big dogs, I would say, push me around a little bit and definitely struggle a little bit that way just because of that. Where now I feel like I have a lot of confidence, and this is just a confidence booster is what this is, definitely for sure. But at the end of the day, like Danny said, I think it's just a confirmation where you know that your car has it in it and you know that you do, and it all works together. So that little bit of extra luck on your side makes a huge difference. And I think it's definitely to the point where lately I've been very confident in my car and in my gear because I work on it every week. I know Danny does as well, and I think that's been a big step up in his game, as well as being able to be in the shop with George and Donald and work on that and work on their 89 car all week long.
You should have seen him work on 2 cars last weekend because he actually won the Legends feature too. So yeah, I had fun watching him run around between one car and the other all afternoon.
Yeah, and I think that's something we're actually going to look at doing come speed weekend time, which would be, I guess, the next. It's not a pro stock race; it's an open race. But that will be our next large race. I think we're going to look at running Riverglade as well in a couple of weeks' time. We're not 100% sure on that. We're going to do some testing this week and see how that goes. But definitely come speed weekend, we will be running the Legend car on, I think, the Saturday show. I don't usually like to run it on the Sunday show. I struggle a little bit with that. I like my Sunday shows and in my complete pro stock days to just be that, where I can focus on one car. And I tried it a couple of years ago to run both cars, and I found it very hard to get out of one and get in the other, and because they drive so different. And I feel like that's kind of where Danny's very well at it right now is he's able to hop in between cars and not lose really anything. Where I would struggle with that a little. Personally, I would struggle.
Well, listen, mission accomplished for last weekend. Looking forward to. It's kind of nice that we're stepping into a little bit of a break now. You kind of get to enjoy this a little bit longer, which is nice. Can't wait to see you at Riverside on September 7th. Thanks for doing this today, Austin. Before I let you go, any sponsors you want to thank? Anybody help make this possible for you?
Yeah, definitely. I have a great support team behind me, even between my crew and the team that I have King Freight Lines. They're my major sponsor right now. King Competition gives me a lot of support through the week and on the weekend if I need it. Andrew Hick and Corey Hall, all those guys at the shop. Just a lot of respect to those guys for helping me out when I need it. Air Liquid, Shea Tirecraft, McKay's Truck and Trailer, Nova Truck Centers. These guys have been with me a long time. We picked up a couple new sponsors this year that we're glad to have on board and hopefully can continue a good relationship with. It's great to be able to have these sponsors on the car. And it was a really good feeling being able to take the trophy to our local sponsors Monday morning and kind of show them that what we were able to accomplish, and they were really excited to see it. So it's a great feeling to just have this great support system and backing behind us.
Absolutely. At the end of the day, sponsors are the ones that keep these cars on the track and keep these tracks in business. So, along with the fans, listen, thanks again for doing this today. Austin, your 2024 Summer Clash 250 champion. Joining us from Pictou, Nova Scotia, Austin MacDonald.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, there you have it, folks. Thank you to Austin MacDonald. Thank you to every driver on the tour who spoke to me Sunday at Scotia Speedworld. Can't wait to do this again. And we will do this again on September 7th for the Scotia Diesel 150 at Riverside International Speedway. Can't wait to see you there. That was your Summer Clash 250 recap. Isn't it cool that we have 6 different winners and 7 races on the tour this year? Jarrett Butcher won twice. He's the only one to win more than one. Nicholas Naugle won one. Danny Chisholm, Craig Slaunwhite, Robbie McEwen, and now Austin MacDonald. We have 2 first-time winners on the tour this year, Danny Chisholm and Austin MacDonald. And you know what? I'm going to throw Robbie McEwen in there because his win at Oyster Bed was the second win on the Maritime Pro Stock Tour, but his first in 5 years. So I'm just going to throw him in there. So how did that shake up our championship chase? Well, Jarrett Butcher still first, but he's only 27 away from Austin MacDonald in second place, 39 away from Gage Gilby, 56 away from Mike Rogers. It's tight. Anything can happen. We'll see you in Riverside. Until then, keep your belts tight and your hands on the wheel.